relationship. We can mend that hole through love, because remember, love covers a multitude of sin. So brothers and sisters, let's learn to love. Let's learn that we are members of one another. Let's learn about brotherly love. Let's learn about doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. Because without the love of Christ, where would we be? I don't even want to think about it myself, but 1 Peter 1:22 and 23 says, finally, all of you live in harmony with one another. Be sympathetic. Love as brothers. Be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but with blessings. Because of this, you were called so that you may inherit a blessing. I don't know about you, but I want to inherit a blessing. So I'm going to forgive. And I'm going to restore. And that's what we need to do, because, you know, we all get upset. We all say bad things. We all do bad things. But if God forgave us for all the things that we've done out of love, shouldn't we forgive our brothers and sisters? Because we all fly off the handle sometime. But aren't you glad that God can put you back in place? Oh, praise God, somebody. Thank you, Lord, for being able to put us back where we belong and to restore us back to goodness. Remember, there's a way out of your mess, and it's JESUS.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Shylock's Pawn in Clinton has some exciting news. They're having a month-long clearance sale in August with new markdowns every day. Not to get in too much of a hurry, but this is a good time to get started on your Christmas shopping, and Shylock's Pawn in Clinton can help you get started. So come on in and save money. Shylock's is your money-saving headquarters. And if you need money, you can get a loan from Shylock's. 1204 Clinch Avenue in Clinton, 865-457-2960. And remember, Shylock's has cash for you.
Good morning, everybody. Rise and shine. Here we are. It is Ask Your Neighbor time. Me and Russell were just sitting here. We're just having time all by ourselves. We are talking about clothing.
We forgot about them. Yeah. We talked too long.
I was monitoring. I got us good. Sheriff Barker's here. We were talking about how to keep wrinkles out of our clothes while traveling. Although you're doing a little more traveling these days than I am, but
I'm doing a lot of down and backs to Nashville. I did one yesterday and then one Thursday of last week.
Not too bad. Nashville, what's it take you, about 2.5, 3 hours?
Yeah, about 2.5, 3. Yeah, 2.5, 3. Depending on traffic and what time I have to be there.
That's good. So, before we get into all the sheriff and stuff, what else is going on? What's good? It's you've got a good sheriff when he comes in and gives you tips on how to keep your shirts from wrinkling when you travel. That's what he showed. Not only did he showed me how to fold it too. So thank you. Hey man, I didn't know how to do it.
So I'm what led to all that was I used to carry those garment bags that rolled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
they still didn't necessarily work, and they're bulky and hard to deal with. Yeah.
And if you're going for a really long stay, they're probably nice. But I've tried to get down to just to carry on in a backpack. And that's what I've done. Right.
Okay.
And so the last trip I took was for a week, and I got everything.
Carry on in a backpack.
Yes, for a week.
That's pretty good.
And it's really about how you pack it. I learned that. I thought I was good, but you got to roll and tuck, and I use those cubes now too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever gets you there, man. I'm telling you, I was telling the sheriff before we got on, I bought a jacket for Easter that still to this day I can't wear. It is so wrinkled. It was that cotton linen stuff.
Yeah. That is, and that's going to be horrible because anytime you sit down in it, it'll be back.
Yeah, exactly. So it was cheap. Yeah. I think it only cost me $18. I know why now.
Yeah, because you go have dry clean it every time you wear it.
But the other tips you give me, I'm keeping to myself. I'm not telling all of it. I'm not telling all those. No, we don't give away the secrets. How are you?
Everything's good. Just on a personal note, we got our kid moved in to UT. Been just about a week, approaching probably our second week. She went through WYSH and she's
pledging,
which I can't believe that. It's so foreign to me, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, me too.
But she's absolutely loving it, and that she's part of that new that Baker School in Public Policy, and it's impressive.
That's cool.
So she's can't wait to see what she does with all that.
That's exciting. Yeah. It's exciting to kind of step back and watch it. You know what I mean? I think, I went to school for a couple of years, and I don't know. I just, I'm more excited about Trey, and I think I was about when I went. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. I was excited.
Yeah. So my journey was as non-traditional as you can get, right?
That was 6 or 8 years. Come on.
Right out of high school, I go to junior college. Promptly end up on academic probation, right? Yeah. Took me 15 years to get my associates.
I got you.
And then I took some more time off and then finally got my bachelor's, but never lived on campus, or anything like that. So it's really neat to.
Well, you're going to kind of live vicariously.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just really neat watching all that. And I got a young man that just graduated with that class as well, class of 24. And he thought he wanted to go to college, and I've just been really encouraging him to learn a trade.
Yeah.
Because he's not Booker T. Worm, and he's not disciplined enough really to. I mean, he could get through it, he could push through it, but he don't need to get a degree in psychology. And no knock on psychology degrees, unless you're using that as a springboard into something else.
I agree.
Some of those social studies degrees are, unless it opens up maybe if a degree is required for a sales job, but unless you're going on to do something in the mental health field, I think you're better served learning HVAC or something.
My boys are each one very different. Trey, very academic, Jacob, not at all. James David is academic, but also sports, So Jacob, that's what he wants to do. He's going to trade school. He's going to ACCTC in the afternoon. Perfect. How they do that through Clinton. Loves it, absolutely loves it. Welding. They got a new name for welding now, too. It's not welding anymore. It's called, I can't even remember what it is, but he's excited about that. So there is a true, and I think we're getting to a point that we're not putting so much pressure on kids that you got to go to college, you got to go, at least here in Tennessee, Governor Lee, I think, has done a good job of opening up. But there's a very successful world out there that you don't need a degree for if you like doing other stuff.
Look, if you're mechanically inclined at all, I promise you the rest, we're missing the trade jobs. We just really are.
I know it.
And I have no real mechanical skills. Like, I could put something together that would be serviceable, but nothing you'd be mad at me if you had to pay for it, right? But I mean, like plumbers and electricians and HVAC, man, you're just they've got you. I mean, And even auto mechanics, like it's so different the way cars are now.
Oh,
the day of the shade tree mechanic is gone.
Yeah, you can't, not unless you've got a computer and all the other stuff that you have to have. But
so I that and I even told this kid, I said, because he's not his socioeconomic status, right? He's
it would be a burden for him to go through college.
He don't need to come out with any student loans. As a matter of fact, what I told him is, because he's graduated, doesn't have a car, things like that, and I just said, first thing you need to do is let's go find you a Marine Corps recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I promise you, in 4 years you'll come out and you've achieved more than most of the people in your class in 4 years, and you can stack that cash up because they're going to make sure you eat 3 times a day. They'll give you a place to lay your head. You don't have to pay rent for 4 years. And you have a GI Bill if you decide later on you want to do that. But then you go learn a trade. And he's considering it. I really think he should. Because it give him some discipline and some information he's missing.
I've talked to my boy, each of my boys I've actually talked to about that. Trey considered it. Trey considered the Navy because of the aeronautics.
Yes.
And he is so into that. And it was a toss-up between the being an astrophysicist and then going in and being a rocket scientist. They're kind of the same thing. What Josh Dobbs did, they're very similar. That's the kind of the path he's on. So
the one thing I will say as a general rule, it doesn't hold true for all of them, but most young men are really dumb till about 25.
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, seriously. We're just we just don't know.
Yeah.
We think we got all answers. But
I thought I had the answers from 14 on,
But we literally have none.
Exactly.
Until we're about 25, and then hopefully you wake up and you've not done too much damage to yourself.
Exactly.
You survive.
Mm-hmm.
That's a critical time, 18 to 25 in my eyes, where
I think so.
You're trying to find your way, and depending on what kind of upbringing you've had, you just don't know what you miss, but you think you know everything.
Absolutely.
And so
10 feet tall and bulletproof.
Like, I was raised by a pack of women, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 sisters and mama. And somehow I got out of the house and didn't know how to iron. They taught me how to iron in boot camp. I didn't know how to tie a tie. They taught me how to tie a tie in boot camp.
Yeah, okay.
Just some things, basic life skills.
Yeah.
That I was just like, I never thought about that. I might have to wear a tie one day.
In Israel, everybody serves.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't hurt my feelings if we had something like that where our kids, you and I, there are a lot of lucky people out here, a lot of wonderful kids just graduate every year from Clinton and Anderson County, but there are some that just lose their way. And I don't know that it would hurt everybody to do a couple years, 2 years of service.
It was that way in Norway too.
Was it
in the early '90s anyway? Yeah.
I don't know that it. I don't know that it works so much for having an army, but it works so much the discipline and then the training. It just seems like. I don't know.
I'm telling you, it would. There's just some things we miss. As a society and as parents,
it either solidifies your foundation or gives you one. If you go in without one, it gives you one, and if you have one already and it's built around, they solidify that, strengthen it, and add to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So as parents, I know I have some friends that are just much better parents than I was. Being a girl dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's some things I should have just I should have made her weed eat, right? I really should, just so she would have that experience.
Well,
but
you know what?
But I didn't.
It'd be the same thing as you ironing. Yeah, I reckon. You know what I mean? It's
So there's things as parents, because you always want your kids to have it better than you did, and you want to give them absolutely the best shot at life, set them up best you can.
Yeah.
And sometimes that backfires.
Trey went in and they put him in Hess for band camp. So he was there in Hess. I think he moved to, is it Carrick, the new one? I can't remember. And they moved him. He got situated Sunday in his new one. And I called him. He said, I just now sit down to kick back and relax. Everything is done Sunday evening. So he was excited about having everything finished. And
So a friend of mine was asking me how she was doing. I said, man, she's loving it. Like, she's really loving it. And they told me, they said, well, our son has called and said he's ready to come home. He messed up. He's at UT as well.
Mm-hmm.
Said he should have went to Mississippi or on state. And they said,
wow.
You're staying.
Now, I wonder what led him to that decision. Probably just, you know what, I remember, too, being on campus and not knowing where you're going and just that.
UT's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I drove the strip. So we went to an event for Senator Blackburn. My daughter went with me, right?
Uh-huh.
She met me over there.
Yeah.
So we went to eat afterwards, and I was taking her back to her car. We cruised the strip. I literally didn't recognize it.
Oh, it's amazing how they built it up, and they've taken the old buildings. Now they're these beautiful apartments.
Yes. I did not know where I was.
I get it.
Because I thought I was about to go down memory lane. There's the last lap. There's
the last lap. Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, they're all gone.
You know how many shows I played at the last lap?
Yeah. I mean, it is just like.
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, I mean, nothing was there. And I'm looking for Ivy's. I couldn't even tell you where it was. I mean, because like the restaurant next to it was gone.
The Taco Bell was torn down next to the last. I get it.
I'm like, what in the world has happened over here?
Nowadays, it's all new. Everything is beautiful and looks amazing. And there's really, dividers in the road.
It really is.
They did a great job.
In the road.
Well, that's kind of a preview of what we're getting ready to have here in downtown Clinton. Yeah. Very similar. When I was talking to Scott and some of the folks, that's kind of what they're going to design the downtown like. We'll see how that works.
Yeah.
Police stuff. I'm going to ask you a question. I was watching some of this trial going on.
Oh.
Do you remember when we spoke about a police officer or a jailer that had an inmate had made a complaint? You got the phone.
Yes.
And it led to. Was he involved in any of that with that girl? Because when I was watching it, that's what she said.
Well, since she testified, I haven't seen her testimony, but if you're telling me she mentioned it, yeah.
Oh, she was sitting there talking about they were talking about the jailer or whatever and the stuff on her phone, and I was like, that's what Russell was talking about.
Yeah, the guy we have charged, our former corrections officer, we charged, she was wrapped up in that as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, because that's, it's one thing to be wrapped up in something, but that's, man alive. The details of that just wore me out.
Absolutely exhausting.
Now,
all of it.
I talked to Rex a little bit the other night. I called him and he was telling me, he said, when this is over, I'm going to come. He said, I won't come up if you want me to. I'll tell y'all about this, because he said, taking care of them, getting them dinner and lunch and doing this and then all the stuff that's going on. He said, I can't remember a death penalty trial here, do you? And I said, no, not since 90. I can't. And not that I remember.
Yeah, no, me either. And it's first time since I've been a police officer that I remember. I've never seen a jury sequestered.
Here in Anderson County?
Yeah, I mean, it may have happened when I was on patrol, not knowing anything other than my zone, but
sure.
Yeah, that has been quite the undertaking, getting the jury, because we're with them around the clock.
Rick said we started with over 1,000.
Yeah.
And then whittled it down, and I think he told me that just a couple of days before the trial, they got it to 85, and then, then they got it to 16. When they got it to 16, then they could start the trial. So.
Yeah, they had 4 alternates.
Okay.
And they had 16 total, 4 alternates.
Gotcha.
And it's hotel rooms, 3 meals, and around the clock.
Tracy said, "Who pays for that?" And I said, "Well, we do. It's part, it's part of doing business. It's part of what we have when we're called upon. It's like justice takes all precedent. It's, yeah, we pay for it. She said, where do we get the money? I said, well, no, that's a rainy day fund? I don't know. Where do we get the money?
I don't know.
Does that come out of Rex's budget?
Rex? Portion of it does. Portion of it's out of mine.
Okay.
And then I'm sure undesignated fund balance is where the balance comes from.
I guess, for food and hotels and things that we don't normally do. I mean, if you've got officers that are putting in overtime and stuff like that, I
can promise you in this budget, I did not set up for
this.
Yeah. This is you look at your overtime trends.
Yeah.
And try to be as accurate as you can. And then so many other things that have nothing to do with the trial come into play when you're trying to do an overtime budget, like the plants come through and make a big swoop and hire a bunch of people. Or we ran through a really stint there as a result of that correction officer, people quitting, just simply because, not necessarily because they had done anything, but it just, everything got real for them. Like, hey, you can get arrested being here if you're not following policy and law. And so, and they were like, so it's difficult. And because going into this trial, our numbers were down on the correction side. We were down about 20. And we've not been there in forever.
I was going to say, time before last, you were in single digits.
Yes.
3 months ago.
Yes.
Okay.
And the staffing of the detention facility is the hardest thing I've got, I think, simply because the per diem pay helped tremendously. Really helped, right?
Yes.
However, you can tell them all day long how hard this job is, but until you're in there, you have no idea. And I'm just going to be 100% honest with you, Ron. I don't know if that was my
You wouldn't do it.
I don't know if I could.
I don't know if I could either.
Because it is incredibly difficult.
Well, you're just around, I don't want to say bad all the time, but you are.
You are. And so you've got 400 people, approximately 400 people that are in there, not because they want to be. It ain't a hotel they've checked into, right? And then they've got nothing but time on their hands to run scams and you hear the term the grapevine, right?
Yeah.
You ain't lived until you've seen a jail grapevine. And the rumor mill at the jail is unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah. And then we had 2 assaults down there last week.
Yeah.
Right. Inmate on inmate.
Yes.
Right.
Gotcha.
And of course we're investigating them. It's we're going to have charges simply because everything's on video down there, and that helps tremendously on whether it be complaints on an officer's behavior or did they violate any laws. But
sure.
From a criminal aspect, if it's one of our COs getting assaulted or inmate on inmate, we got it on video,
Sure.
But trying to figure out why.
Or break it up. Again, if somebody has to break it up, and there's somebody that's step in front of, punches and everything else.
Yeah, and so it's really incredible, and it's just, and we've got a mix down there of misdemeanors and state inmates. And, there's a guy down there right now that he's got on our radar for some nonsense he did. And they called me and are briefing me on it. And I'm like, man, that name sounds familiar. And they say, he's been in and out. Well, he had done about 20 years total. Oh. He's 30-something years old. He's late 30s.
So since his teens, he's been...
Yeah, he's done 20. Yeah. He's done 20 in the state facility. Wow. He had a 3-year stint, and I think a 17-year stint.
Gotcha.
And so when I pull him up to put a face with the name, well, he's in there on charges I participated in. Right? And no wonder it sounded familiar, Mm-hmm. And, but, I remember one of the most shocking videos that I've seen out of there. is inmate on inmate, and this guy is talking through the door, the glass slit there, steel door, and he's outside on his hour out. He's talking to these other cellmates. Well, this other inmate comes through and just beats the brakes off of him. Right, the guy never saw it coming. He's talking to the window, gets hit, and then it goes down, knocked him out of his shoes.
Oh wow!
Literally, of course they're flip flops, but still, literally knocked him out of his shoes. So he gets up, and of course we don't hear anything about it till we start seeing pump knots.
Yeah,
because he ain't reporting it.
Gotcha.
Right? But in the video, what was really interesting was he was paid by some other inmates to do that. Okay, so as it worked out, the cell door he's standing there talking to, we have no idea what that conversation was. They're the ones that actually paid. Somebody in there paid, because what happened was this guy comes, beats him down, and he leaves. The victim gets up, walks away. The inmate who committed the assault comes back in, and then underneath the door you see him slide coffee bags. They paid him commissary.
Coffee.
He did it for coffee, because I remember it appeared from the video he agreed to do it for 3 bags of coffee. Okay.
3 bags of coffee.
Yeah, because it's its own currency in there.
Evidently.
Commissary is. 2 came through, and whoever sent the 3rd one out didn't flatten it enough, and it got stuck under the door, and the guy couldn't get it. So he got gypped a bag of coffee. So, and then he picked up assault charges, because we had
for 3 bags of coffee.
Yeah, what 2?
Well, 2.
And he had 1 in the hole, I guess. You know?
He's still owed.
Yeah, but yeah,
Jeez.
I mean, like it's amazing actually how that works.
It just illustrates what it takes to be down there for 8-hour shift every day, or 10 hour, whatever you guys have to put in. So
12s, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds difficult. Were these folks involved in this trial? Were they housed here, or they've been housed?
Yeah.
For the entire time?
Yeah, ever since they got arrested, they've been with us. Yeah.
Now, so once this is over and that's set and determined, then they go to state, or they will be okay?
Just simply because of the amount of time they got. She took a plea deal and cooperated.
250 years or something.
She still got a ton of time, right? But she avoided
death penalty.
Yeah. So soon as the jury comes back on this, and the judge hands down his sentence, in short order, they'll both be shipped out to a state facility.
You know, again, I've only watched part of it, probably maybe 2 hours total. You know what I mean? Almost 100%. In fact, all of it was her testifying that I saw. And you don't think or believe there are really people that think and believe like that. You know, people do heinous things, right? But somehow in my head, I think to myself, well, you know, they did that and they regret it. Or it's like she just talks as level as, yes, I did that, and then we did this, and then chained her up, and I left her there. I let her smoke. I was like, why didn't you run across the street? You were a block from the hospital. Just knock on the door and go, hey, crazy man, got him chained up down here. I'm thinking to myself, you live like that for weeks, months, and then you live another 9 months with her in a freezer and carry the freezer upstairs to hide it. I mean, there comes a point you got to realize this is crazy as all get out. But I mean, I can't comprehend it. It doesn't commute. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things.
So the Christian Newsom case out in Knoxville, right? Same thing. I mean, there was days there that lots of people in and out of that house had the opportunity.
I know her father very well. In fact, I served as the honorary thing with the ride that they do on the 10th year. I got to be the master of ceremonies or whatever it was. I was honored to do that for Gary. But the same thing. You look at what they did to those kids.
There was tons of people who had an opportunity to prevent that or stop that, I guess. Not maybe prevent it, but stop it.
Certainly intervene.
Yes. And then I can't remember it was a huge case. They kidnapped the girl, and she lived with them for years out west, California.
Yeah.
And she had opportunities to run because they eventually would take her out in public and claim that it was her daughter or something, and they were really weird. I can't remember the name. I can see their faces.
Elizabeth Smart.
Yes.
Elizabeth Smart.
Yes.
Kind of Amish-looking kind of folks. Yes, they kidnapped her for 7 years, I think.
Yeah, and so the psychology behind all that, and whomever, I'm not commenting directly on our current trial, but whomever is the shot caller, somehow it gets in people's heads to where they believe what they believe, or it's not an option. I don't know.
I get that. I do. But once, the chain into the bed would have been like, okay. Because, who you could be next. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
That's how I would think.
That's exactly what I would think. Okay, all right, time for me to leave.
Yeah, but I guess some think, well, I better be playing by the rules, or I could be next. The option
it's obvious
never comes to mind.
And when you sit and listen to them talk, while I was listening to her testimony, I was thinking to myself, is she telling me the truth? Is she this damaged that she believed if he told her, do not, you know what I mean? It was almost as if that word was a lock, you know what I mean, to the door.
You
Freak me out.
Don't know.
It's terribly sad when you get past the repulsiveness of it.
Well, think about this too, and I have no examples to give, but in severe child abuse cases,
yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Particularly when it's two parent home, right? There's always a parent that knows it's happening but does nothing.
Yeah, that's
so. And that's your child, your own flesh and blood. So there is a incredibly interesting psychology angle to it that I can't even begin to explore or understand.
If we understood it, it would be a different world. I don't think. Today. Yeah, we'll never understand it.
They'd be flying us on helicopters to undo things.
We would be fixing the world, wouldn't we?
We'd be using our new folding techniques.
That's it.
Getting on a chopper.
Exactly. Well, I was, as I was watching it and thinking, I thought, man, I bet this has put some undue pressure on Russell in so much as having to make sure they're safe, make sure they get back and forth. Nobody's supposed to know. The judge talked about them going to Hoskins the other day. They were like, shh, you're not supposed to do that, Your Honor.
And I'm going to tell you, my staff has killed it. They've done really, really well.
That's awesome.
They're exhausted. And look, I dropped in on them Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. They were eating in a local restaurant. And I thought I'd just go in and say hello and check. I was up in the area. And there's that Rex. So, he's put in a lot of hours himself.
Oh, I'm sure he has to. And, he has to chaperone them everywhere.
Yeah, he's kind of the
point man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of what he said to me.
Yeah, and
he's having to do all of it.
And but yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, like, I have to admit, it was pretty awesome because it's a Sunday, so I was in total Sunday street clothes, right?
Gotcha.
Tennis shoes, shorts, and a pullover.
Gotcha.
Right? So I stroll in the restaurant, and I got a baseball cap on, and I speak to a couple of my guys, and then they told me, hey, they're up back there in the back, and I go, and the waitress is coming out, and she wouldn't let me in.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. She's like, you can't go back there. And I said, no, I'm okay. And before I could say anything, she said, no, sir, you can't go. And I said, hold on, I'm the sheriff. And she looking, they give her the nod.
Like, he's the sheriff, let him in.
And the manager came to me as I was leaving. She said, hey, look, I was wigged out when I saw you go in that room. She said, then I got to look at you. I said, oh, it's Russell.
No, that's good. At least they're keeping up with what they're supposed to keep up with. But it's a big, a lot of folks are watching it across the country.
Yeah, so you will see this. This will be, in my opinion, will turn into a Dateline.
Oh yeah,
or something.
It's the whole stuff has been on the the Law and Order channel or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it gets ended and moves on.
So I have a new found respect, I guess you'd say, or understanding. You hear about this in other places, these big trials, and then there's a mistrial. And I've always thought, well, that's just part of the process. No, it's not. And with the expenses the county incurs.
A mistrial is just pay all the money for nothing, light it on fire, start over.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's, that's been always a concern for us, and my court security's done a fabulous job of, ensuring, because there's normal business going on at the courthouse as well.
Yes.
And so we need to make sure that we're clearing the halls when the jury's coming through. You don't want somebody yelling something or saying something, and bless their hearts. I mean, they get to watch a little TV, but it's just one rung better than what my inmates get. Like, because we have to
you're talking about the jurors, yes.
Yeah, because there's so many things we can't let them watch to keep them protected from news reports.
Oh, wow. So you got to police the TV.
Yes.
How do you do that? Unhook the cable?
IT comes in and blocks channels.
What? So we have to
parental controls.
Really?
Yeah, because there's things they can't watch.
I guess they can't watch the news. They can't see the reports on what's going on.
We got to monitor their calls. Because
that's amazing. Ballpark, if you can. Well, what will this trial cost Anderson County?
The numbers that I've heard are, and again,
I've got a number in my head. I want to see. Wait, I'm going to write it down and see how close I am. Let me get my pen. I just want to write down the number that I think it's going to cost. I think.
Okay.
Okay. That's what I got. Go ahead.
100,000.
Oh, wow. I was way off.
What'd you say?
I was like $1.2 million.
Oh, no. 100,000.
Yeah. Okay. Because I just figured if we had that many people over time, and then depending on how long it goes.
Yeah. So.
Okay, 100,000 is much better than I thought.
Yeah. No.
Good.
It's
Good.
100,000 still.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Now we won't know until all the receipts are counted. Yeah. But that's the numbers that we've been kicking.
Well, still, that's a lot of money, and it's. Hopefully they'll come back. We won't have any hung juries, or we won't have anything like that. They'll get all that done. But right now, he's been found guilty, and they're deliberating the sentence, right?
Yes.
Do they have options, or is it yes or no to death? So they have options.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a criminal case, when you get your jury instructions, and this is why you'll see, it'll say they include the main charge and then lesser and included charges, right?
Gotcha.
So they could come in there and find out, okay, they could find somebody not guilty of premeditated murder, but find them guilty, but a lesser included charge would be second-degree murder.
Gotcha.
So they could say on the charge of first-degree murder, not guilty. Charge of second-degree murder, guilty.
Gotcha.
And that's how you end up with the voluntary, involuntary, the different levels, right? Depending on how evidence fits and how it lines up with statute. So, yeah, that's what they're working on now.
Did he testify?
No, he did not.
Okay. I was going to say, all I saw was her, and I saw, I guess, his attorneys questioning her when they were saying, when you were picked up, you said, we killed her. You said, we did it. Now you're saying he did this.
So I'm going to tell you, testifying in a criminal case, listen, I get our system is flawed, but I promise you it's the best thing going in the world. I mean, because the state is stuck with facts and truth, period.
Yes.
Defense only has to create reasonable doubt.
Yes.
And I have seen, and not suggesting that this attorney has done this by no means, because I've not watched the vast majority of it.
Like I said, I've seen maybe
I'm talking about from personal experience, what I've witnessed and what I've experienced, right?
Yes.
Particularly in sessions court, when it's misdemeanors and not a lot going on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody going to prison over what's about to happen, right? But you'll see things like, say you got a simple possession charge on marijuana, and they want to have a preliminary hearing. And they want to question your probable cause, right? Your probable cause is they didn't have their seatbelt on.
Yeah.
When you got there, you smelled burnt marijuana.
Yeah.
And you end up in the car and find a misdemeanor amount of weed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen defense attorneys, and the officer's only testifying to what he's got, right? And the defense attorney said, Officer Meredith, isn't it true you planted that weed in my client's car? No, sir, I did not. You didn't? No further questions. I got more to say now, I mean, it's just,
because they plant that reasonable doubt and let go on.
And again, not so much in sessions.
I know.
I mean, you see, they take a lot more liberty in misdemeanor, but I've seen DUI cases being heard by jury, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I watched this young officer. It's one of his first DUIs, and I just remember thinking, "Oh, son, you're not thinking." The defense attorney literally says, and I don't remember the form he came up with, but he said, "So as part of your investigation, you took notes." Yes. What kind of notes did you take? Well, I took notes on his field sobriety tests and all this. He goes, so, and when you got down, what did you do with those notes? Well, I tightened them up a little bit for my report and put them in my case file. Did you fill out a BR 5494?
BR 5.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say that. I'm making that up on the spot.
Okay.
But he named some form.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in the back row thinking, there is no such form. That's made up. We don't have this form. This is a new guy, right?
Oh, Lord.
And so he instantly looks uncomfortable because he didn't recognize that form. And he says, "Can I look at my case file?" And they say yes. And he flips through it like it's, and the jury's looking like, "Oh, man, he didn't." And he goes, I guess I didn't. Okay. Yeah. And I'm thinking, all they had to say was, there is no such thing.
There is no such thing, but he didn't know for sure.
Yeah. And so little tricks like that, they just toss up and see what sticks.
And that could very easily make somebody think, well, he didn't even fill out the right form when he did it. So I can understand. Yeah. It's amazing what all they go through.
So you probably got the same text I got.
I'm getting them. I don't know. What'd you get?
I'll let you break the news.
I don't know. I don't know what news I'm breaking. I didn't get, well, hang on. I got
something from Brad.
I got 13 texts, yes. They got the verdict. Just rewording the form. What is the verdict, Brad? Did he tell you the verdict?
No, he didn't.
He didn't tell me the verdict.
Yeah.
Judge sent them back. The jury has returned, but sent them back out to reword the verdict. The judge sent them back out. They've got the verdict, just rewording the form.
I need to get down there.
You think so? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you go. Real quick, let me ask you stuff I wanted to ask you. We've just been shooting the breeze. On the school situation, I was told the other day that they had brought some of the people that they cut loose back. And so I was like, well, then the investigation's over? What's the deal?
Yeah, no, so I got briefed on that. Not that specific thing. I don't know if the school has hired back people
they have
previously.
I've got from Tim and from Ryan.
Okay.
I've got the information.
And
which I think.
And the two things that I was going to give you today that I could share about this investigation is still open.
Yes.
One. Two, there's involvement with the district attorney's office has brought in the comptroller to review something. Okay. Now, specifically, something you've asked me, I don't remember if you asked me on the air or off the air, but I checked with my CID and the detectives who are on this case, and they tell me that no missing money is a part of what they're doing.
Good. Somebody just asked me about that, but I asked Dr. Parrott, and I asked Ryan the other day because I'm trying to make sure, this case. I don't know. This thing is just, it seems never ending. And we don't know all the ins and outs of it, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it. So I try to err with caution.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so I sent to Dr. Parrott, and I sent to Ryan. I said, good morning. Can you confirm that a teacher or counselor who was let go during the grade changing scandal is now teaching an online class for Anderson County schools? Is it true that the counselors that were fired or not rehired, recontracted, that one of them is now at Bryceville Elementary School? Because I thought, if they didn't do anything wrong, why'd you let them go at Clinton High School,
Right.
If they did do something wrong, why are they with my kids at Bryceville High School or Bryceville Elementary School? I don't understand it. And so Ryan got back to me. He said, from the investigation, Rachel Jones and Clay Turpin were the only staff who were brought up on charges. Did you bring anybody up on charges?
No, we haven't.
I didn't think so. I didn't know that. Okay. They are not eligible for rehire. Dan Jenkins and Carrie Jenkins resigned their positions and at this time are not eligible for rehire. The other three counselors, as well as Coach Keith's contract, were not renewed. they are eligible for rehire. Rachel Jones is not employed with Anderson County Schools. I don't know if that's the online thing we're talking about or not. One counselor applied for a position at Bryceville and applied at Dutch Valley and was hired. And so you're investigating this. These people were not brought back because of it, and now they're working at our schools again. What did we turn up, Sheriff? I mean, did they do anything wrong? Has this all been a joke? What's going on? Because people are getting pissed off about it.
And rightfully so. And those are reasonable questions. Honestly, I don't know enough about the investigation.
Okay.
I mean, and that's just...
I believe you. I mean, I trust you.
I just get the 30,000-foot view, and I go back, and as I get questions from you, I go back and get briefed on those specifics so I can see. I can tell you this. It is the one thing I would tell your listeners and the people of Anderson County to remember, there are a boatload of moving parts in this thing. It isn't simply my house got broke into and I found Ron with some of my property.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
It's 100 people probably that you have to interview and work through the process. And on top of that, this is the grade changing statute. I didn't think it was a crime when it was first told. I said, surely, I mean, that's probably a policy violation as opposed to a crime. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, there was a statute. It's a misdemeanor statute, right? Mm-hmm. And then with any investigation, particularly high-profile investigations, you get a lot of, and Lord, you know this because you get them on even high-profile. You get a lot of people that truly want to help or truly believe they have some information, and you got to still chase down those leads.
Yeah,
and it may not be accurate. So that prolongs just the scope of this as we're learning this statute and what constitutes, how it matches up with the wording, and then running down all these leads. And then on top of that, keep in mind attorneys are involved.
Uh-huh.
Because we didn't get to catch everybody flat-footed.
I understand.
There was an announcement of what was happening, and we know attorneys, everybody, rightfully so, sought legal counsel with the allegations that were being made. I can promise you, I would do the same.
Absolutely.
And so
that slows things down.
Way down.
Okay.
Way down. Because once somebody has an attorney and has representation by an attorney, I cannot talk to them without their attorney present.
Well, I talked to Dr. Parrott prior to this revelation, and I'd asked him earlier, leading up to this, where we were in the investigation. He said, as far as the school is concerned, they're done. The DA and the Sheriff's Department, to my understanding, are still investigating. The state school board has not issued rulings on the teachers yet. So they still have, I guess, some of their teaching certificates held until it's finished.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
And I don't know, because it's not part of what we're doing, but I don't know why some were held and some are frozen, some aren't.
They made another error on the form. He's sending the jury back again to read it. The judge says it's important. Right. Yeah, let me finish this, and you're done. So you guys, you guys are still investigating on yours. Okay. I had one more. I wish I'd make my notes. Well, never mind. I'll let you go because I can't think of what I was going to ask. If I think of it, I'll text you.
Is that an Apple phone?
Is that yes?
I use my notes. My Apple.
Yeah, absolutely. I should have put it in there. But so where we stand right now, as far as I know, the state. You mentioned state comptroller. They're here investigating absence manipulation.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know the district.
But we're out of that. As far as the county, we're out of that. The state's coming in. They're going to do their thing.
And see, that's it too. It's not typical in the sense that the state of Tennessee is involved as well, right? And it's not like a joint investigation like we normally see with the TBI.
No, they're doing something on their own, aren't they?
Comptroller and people like that get involved. And it's just, I mean, it is big old vegetable soup, buddy. Everybody's in there, you know?
Yeah, it seems like it. Well, hopefully we'll get it all turned up and they'll get theirs done. In talking, trying to figure out how things work, I was talking to people in the administration, and I said, all right, you've got parents that are accusing. They've said this person did this, and that person is still in the schools. What? Why? And I was told, well, that person has tenure. And in order for us to remove a tenured teacher, I am almost positive that Dr. Parrott told me it takes unanimous school board vote. Now, I talked to somebody else that had served in administrations like that, and they said, no, it's a majority vote. But I also was told that's why 3 of the 4 running were removed from being the school board that had been there for 40 years, you know, and because that stuff was brought to them, evidence was brought, and they refused to act on it. Thus, there is a person in Clinton High School today as we speak that there's been testimony that they committed wrongs, but the board wouldn't meet whatever the minimum was to fire them. In your investigation, if you guys turn up information on that, how does that work? If you go in and you say, I'm the sheriff and so-and-so did, and they go, well, we don't have a majority to let them go. If you're not going to put them in jail, then we're going to leave them alone.
So
what happens?
If it's not criminal, if it's criminal, it's
out of their hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's a policy violation that requires discipline by the school, that's up to the school.
Okay. But let me ask you this. Do you guys read it and go, hey, this is a policy, or do you just give them the report and let them suss it out?
No, we would absolutely pass it on.
You just pass it to them? And
we would, I would come in and say, wrong. So
Jasper broke the law.
Yes. Jasper did not violate the law, but we are confident that Jasper violated these policies, and here's why.
Okay, that's because I'm just waiting for something like that at the end of the day, a summary of what happened, who got wrongfully thrown under the bus, who got rightfully thrown under the bus, who is, not even on the bus yet that needs to be on the bus. But we're waiting on that.
My guess would be, when it's all, now I'm totally speculating here, but my guess would be at the end of the day, you would see that come out of General Clark's office.
Well, I talked to Dave, I didn't talk, I sent a text. And this is what he told me. He was like, we are still investigating. And he said, and we get a lot of inquiries on this. So I will send you a press release the minute I know. That was his polite way of saying, quit asking.
Yeah,
I don't bother him that much, but I'm staying diligent on this because I want to know,
So General Clark is really good about sending out, and I don't know what he calls them, but they're basically a synopsis or executive summary.
Yeah.
That's really detailed about cases and what the allegations are, what we did, and what the result was, right?
Okay.
And those things are,
priceless.
Yeah, because they honestly, I can't recall a time where it did not answer almost every question.
Okay.
So he puts a lot of effort into those.
Well, to
be transparent for the public.
I've checked with you, and I've checked with him, and I keep checking with Dr. Parrott. I keep trying to keep lines of communication open to find out what's going on, and everybody says it's ongoing outside of the school. They say they've concluded theirs, the board, whatever they were looking at, and their authority, I guess, to do what they've got to do without having a majority of the board members willing to separate themselves from people that committed the problems.
So did you ever get the answer? Is it a simple majority or like a super majority?
I didn't get the answer. I am pretty sure that I was told, and Dr. Parrott, if I'm misspeaking, I apologize. I thought Tim told me they needed unanimous. I had another person that has served on school boards and done work that said, I don't think so. I think it's a majority. But I haven't got clarification to that yet. I don't know. So, I don't know. I do know 2 of the school board members that were voted out. I know that the people that I know that had voted for him for 40 years that didn't vote for him this time was because of this. And because of, there were a number of board members that knew about this. I think whether these were part of that or not, I think some of them are suffering the consequences of people being frustrated, especially when you've been on there a long time and you know the ropes and you know how it works and you know how to run a good school. When stuff like this happens, you just, you face it, you fix it, you apologize if you made a mistake, you defend yourself if you didn't make a mistake, or you defend the teachers if they didn't. If they did, you send them on their way. So I don't understand what's so difficult about getting all this done and over and getting the bad apples out and the good apples in. I was told the other day part of the reason they're bringing them back is because they don't have enough teachers. There's a huge shortage of counselors and teachers, and so we're stuck with, there's not good pickings, I reckon. So how do you fix that problem if you don't have enough personnel? I mean, it's a I don't know.
I know that feeling.
I know you do right now for sure, don't you?
Look, you on my side, if you've got someone who is adequate, you just have to invest in them, train,
and make them better.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, I understand. Yes, I do understand it. And you know what? I would settle for. We couldn't find anybody. This person wasn't really involved, but and this is why we're going to put them. If I went ahead and continued reading, they brought one person back, but they put them in a position where they couldn't change grades.
Right.
Okay. All right. There you go. So I don't think they should do that. If somebody made the mistake or they did the crime, then they need to go on. I don't think we should bring them back, but that's just me. We'll keep on it. I'll let you go. I know if you think it's something you need to tell me, you call and tell me, and I'll tell everybody else. If there's nothing else going on you want the public to know about, you got anything happening that they
So no, the only other big news is the law director's spot.
I heard they're going to offer that maybe to Judge Brooks for 90 days.
Yeah, he's going to.
That's a great choice, by the way.
He's going to get in there and keep it afloat while we revisit the Private Act.
Good.
So I will tell you my opinion on it, and this is nobody else in county government. Some may agree, some may disagree. But the Private Act was well written, but it was bulletproof, and I think.
It was made to be bulletproof.
And I think from my, 51% of the people can put me in the unemployment line, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I'm not saying that we need someone to oversee the law director, but I'm not for farming it out either. Because like I probably have more contact than any other county department. So like it's not uncommon for us to have to call law director in the middle of the night, say, here's what's happening at our jail.
What do we do?
Yeah, we're about to do this. Is this good? Or are we missing anything? So we have to have that, and we sure don't want to pay somebody out of Knoxville or even here in Anderson County $400 an hour to take a 30-minute phone call, right? Yeah. So I think we need a law director. I don't want them to be elected. I don't want it to be.
You do not want them to be elected?
I don't.
Okay.
I want them to be appointed.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also, in case we pick wrong, it needs to be easily remedied. So I think this advisory board we have, if you get a simple majority there that recommends termination or replacement or whatever, it goes to county commission.
You know how many times that advisory board has met, Russell?
I'm on it, yeah. And we've met last time. We just recently met after Jay's death,
mm-hmm.
and we met in November of 23. And I couldn't tell you for that.
When I don't remember when were you in it when all the stuff was swirling around and they called the meeting of the Judicial Advisory Board that I testified at?
No, I was not part of it.
That was the first meeting they ever had.
Wow.
Yeah, the very first time. And I will tell you, you take the heads of each office,
mm-hmm.
Jeff and Tim and all, they're all part of it. And then you have a commissioner and then the mayor's on it. And even though the allegations proved to be true and the law director admitted it and he apologized for it, right? After it was all said and done, these elected officials, one at a time, they're like, this sucks. I don't want to be in charge for firing him. I've got to run my office. This is not, they They didn't like that responsibility on top of their other responsibility. Plus, if the advisory board makes a recommendation, it has to be a full recommendation, and then it goes to commission. And then even at that point, I don't think commission and the advisory board have the full weight to do it. I'm not sure if even then, I don't know. There might be one more hoop they have to jump through.
Yeah, that I don't know. My understanding is it takes supermajority, 2/3.
That's in commission, but it has to be brought from the advisory board. The advisory board has to bring it.
Yes.
And the advisory board is never going to bring it as long as you got people that have to run for office and they just fired Aunt Joni's nephew.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Well, you know what? You may be right.
Well, I
can
shouldn't
tell you
say
this.
that.
I got no qualms with it.
Well, you're in law enforcement. You understand it. You know what I mean? When and again, Jeff and Tim and all these guys, they perform a service that we smile when we go get to do. When you perform your service, most people are aggravated about it already. So you already bear the brunt of your job. You know, so them having to do something, I think, like that where they step up. I don't know. I just know that at least 3 of them talked to me afterwards. 3 that were silent and said, listen, you know, please, are you angry because we didn't say something? I was like, no, and their reason why was that. So one final thing. I know, I'm sorry. I got to be short-winded. John and Rick. John has contested this.
Yes.
All right.
So, yeah.
Where do you stand? And you're a staunch Republican.
Yes.
You've been a Republican all your life, or you convert someone? I told somebody the other day, I said, Russell's been a Republican as long as I've known Russell. And I've known Russell a long time.
I crossed over twice.
Okay.
Technically, I crossed over once. So I was raised by a pack of Democrats.
Gotcha.
So my first time at 18 when I voted, my mother told me, you go vote Democrat. And I said, okay.
Okay.
Got out of boot camp, and and I remember I said, "Mom, I think I'm a Republican," and she said, "Your dad will roll over in his grave." Right, and from then on, I voted Republican. Other than in 2006, I crossed over to support a friend of mine who was running for office.
Gotcha.
In a primary. Only 2 times I've ever voted Democrat, and to the Rick John thing. I'm disappointed in John. I mean, look, look, I'm at odds with some of our GOP leadership on this, right? I felt like they picked a side. The executive committee did when they shouldn't have, because I sure wouldn't want them doing it. I did not. I was for Rick, but I did not get out there and beat the drums for Rick.
Rick worked in your campaign.
He did.
I mean, I was with him. I mean, I know he did.
And so my conversations behind the scenes with the executive committee, the local executive committee, was, hey, look, you guys, if you're on that committee, you need to stay neutral. Be who you want to be for. But on our Facebook page, if we're sharing John Reagan stuff, you need to be sharing Rick's stuff. They weren't doing that.
No, I know.
But put whomever you're for, sign in your yard. You don't lose your individual rights, but you can't show favoritism in your official capacity.
When I sit here and we're doing news, Ron, I don't do news as Ron Meredith. I try to do the news as the news. Now, when me and you are talking and I'm talking about stuff, my opinion.
Yeah, as the sheriff,
as a sheriff, you're the sheriff. As Russell,
yes,
we can, and they don't lose that by being on the committee.
Right, and so to that point, and it fell on deaf ears. And so look, this is just facts. And I said, I don't understand where the disconnect is here with Rick specifically. I said, because he worked on, or he participated in Zach Wamps. He was joined at the hip with Randy Boyd.
Absolutely. Well, the Haslams are a huge contributor to his campaign, and they're big. I mean, they're Republicans.
They've hosted everybody, every sitting Republican, state and federal, comes to Hoskins and hosts things. He gave financially and helped me in 18 and 22. Mm-hmm. His voting record
since 2012
meets the bona fide. And my frustration is I'm not going to name people, but I know sitting Republicans that voted in Democratic primaries after Rick, and it's not an issue. I know.
I vote for the person. I'm just going to tell you right now. I'm a way staunch Republican, 100%. I voted for Jim Hackworth. You know what? Jim Hackworth worked his tail off for folks around here, and yeah, he's a Democrat, but he did right for our area. Now a lot of people are going to go, "Oh my God, Ron!" But he, in the times that
I get that, but I just think that my message is that as the GOP, we eat our own.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Okay.
I don't either.
And this is nothing I haven't said before, and so I'll say it again. I probably shouldn't, but I will. This is how you end up with First and Second Baptist, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like church. It's like, and I do compare it to church.
Well,
to be a part of a church, there's core beliefs that are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You have to believe Christ,
Son of God, accept Him as your Savior.
Yeah, He died on the cross for your sins. He is the only way to heaven.
Yes.
Not good works and all that stuff. The color of the carpet in the sanctuary don't matter.
Yeah.
But churches get split over silliness like that.
I agree.
And this, our GOP is no different. I would just say this, right? And my wife is probably
screaming at the radio right now. Shut up, Russell.
But for example, District 6, Aaron Wells got beat by a Democrat. The Democrats rallied around their candidate and knocked doors and did a good job of promoting their candidate. We, as a local party, we were still talking about books, and we were worried. Our leadership was worried about books, and they were worried about why did the state make Rick Scarborough bona fide?
Two things that, some people are worried about, but definitely don't change what groceries cost, don't change whether or not we're going to have vouchers, don't change a lot of the other stuff.
And let me tell you something. I'm friends with Ebony Capshaw.
Sure.
I met her at 18 when she ran against Regina.
I remember.
I like her. She's a good woman.
Yeah.
And I wish her nothing but luck, and I look forward to working with her. But I'm just here to tell you, from a party standpoint, they spent way too much energy and effort on the fact that the state GOP party said Rick was bona fide and should be on the ballot.
So I'll ask you. Rick's been my friend. I've known him for, I said 30 years, probably at least, because I've been here 35. So, I said something to somebody. I've known him a long time. We've never had an issue where politics, you know what I mean, where politics flared up and we were cohesive or we were split or whatever. But I've known him long enough to know that when I asked him the question, and he told me, I said, what made you change? And he said, when the party changed in 12, and I started looking, he said, that's when I left. It just, the social issues and the things that were never part of the Democratic Party, that's when I switched over. The Republican platform was closer to my beliefs, and that's when I switched over. And he said, I haven't voted Democrat since 2012. Oh, that's the last time he voted Democrat.
Yeah.
I have absolutely, positively no reason, no evidence, no anything in my 30 years of knowing him to think he would lie to me about that.
Right.
I honestly believe he would have said, well, just like I did. Well, I voted for this person at this point or this person at this point, but not. And I just said, are you a Republican? Yes. I said, okay. And I think that's, if 1,000 Democrats came over to vote in the Republican primary, I don't necessarily like that, but the way I would do it is I would try to convince them of my platform in order to come into my party.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Inclusion instead of exclusion.
Yeah.
They say isolationists and all this other stuff. It's a little different.
And
we got it.
And so, for example,
I gave it to. I was going to let you tell the verdict if you want to.
No, you can.
It's a death penalty. I showed it. We got it a minute ago, and I showed it to Russell. I was going to let the sheriff tell you, but they ruled death penalty. So we'll get the details coming up.
But to that point, right? There is a purity test now in the GOP. that Donald Trump don't pass.
Yeah.
He voted Democrat.
Yeah. I see, and that's what I was trying to tell. I was having a conversation the other day, and folks were getting mad at me. They said, well, you're turning liberal. I said, I am not turning liberal under no circumstances. But just like you just said, now I could go back and I can show you rerun after rerun of former President Trump touting Democratic candidates, supporting Hillary Clinton, giving money to Chuck Schumer, a lot of stuff. But when the country made a turn that convicted him, that made him feel like he needed to do something, his platform was 100% Republican. You know what I mean? And it's gotten even stronger as time has went on. I know people I know people were worried about it when he first ran, but it's the same thing. It's like people change. You know what I mean? 100%. People change.
So look, Ronald Reagan. You know?
Yeah, he was a Democrat.
The greatest president of my lifetime.
Yes.
And I think and some of the circus atmosphere our local party creates, I think keeps good people out that would want to be a part of it. But they may agree 100% with what's being said, but it's the delivery,
the way that
they approach it. The delivery of it. Look, Jack Mansfield wore me out over those books.
Mm-hmm.
No secret.
Yeah.
And he was very vocal where he stood on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a conversation with him, and I explained to him, hey, listen, you and I agree on 99% of this. But, Jack, you're not doing us any favors when you stand up there and yell at people. It turns folks off.
Yeah, it's not the way to get done.
Yeah, it's so.
Well, I was gonna ask you as the sheriff. You tell me, is Rick Scarborough a Republican or not?
100%. To the point, I will tell you all this. So Monday, they have that hearing, Zoom hearing, in Nashville, because John did file a challenge with the state executive committee.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on Zoom, I think. Monday at 6.
Okay.
Myself, I shot an email with an attached letter asking the state chairman, Scott Golden, to dismiss John's claim.
Mm-hmm.
That we did not think it was good for our local GOP. We didn't think it was good for the GOP overall. And more importantly, it will, if they see this through and particularly overturn the election, it disenfranchises thousands of voters who made their choice. Now, at the end of the day, if you can find isolated incidents where people violated the statute of crossing over to vote in a particular party, that statute I've not put a lot of thought into it,
mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, how does a guy who changes, there's nowhere written down where, hey, I voted Democrat my entire 54 years of life, but all of a sudden I've seen the light. Now I want to be a Republican. But if I go vote in a Republican primary, I've committed a crime. Where do I go then to get the blessing to start voting Republican?
Well,
it's kind of like we put ourselves on an island and we're going to die.
Right now, those rules are fluid. Well, you need to participate in some campaigns. You need to be involved in the meetings. How many? How many campaigns?
I'm telling you, I know people who are sitting Republicans have never darkened the door one of those meetings.
Yeah, well,
I promise you.
I've only been to one, and I moderated it. Seriously, I moderated it. I really think, and Tracy and I both believe, and Tracy feels a little differently than this on me. She wants the Republican Party to really vet our people. You know what I mean? And I'm good with that. I want Republicans serving Republicans. I do. But I've been doing this long enough. I've seen people that growing up with were meaner than snakes that turned out to be loving, wonderful preachers. You know what I mean? And I would have bet you all the money in the world in high school they were going to prison.
Yeah.
People change. Things happen over life that change us. And I, maybe to my detriment, I give people the benefit of that doubt. And I hope they're telling me the truth.
I'll fall more in line with you on that.
I hope they're telling me the truth. Look, I've been screwed many times by listening to somebody and think they're telling me the truth and they lie, but I err on that. And I think it'd be real easy for our party to see if somebody was participating in the party or not. I mean, it's real easy if Chief Scarborough goes in and votes a different way than the party wants, they're going to know.
John Reagan's campaign.
John Reagan he shot his own self in the foot a lot.
They did a great job of painting Scarborough blue. No two ways about it. With the mailers, but that's what happens in campaigns.
But that's what's supposed to happen. John's supposed to call Rick names. Rick's supposed to call John names, and the executive committee sit back and wait to see who wins and supports them.
Yeah, but more importantly, I'm just a firm believer if they're on the ballot, and I'm saying this if a Republican gets in my race in 26, if they get on the ballot, if you share my stuff, you better be sharing theirs, because it's what the executive committee does. They're not there to pick a side. They're there to support all Republicans. Yeah. It's no different for me as a sheriff. Once I'm elected, some Democrat comes and files a criminal complaint. I can't say, well, let me see your voting record.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Sorry, I'm a Republican sheriff. So when you take these leadership roles, you're there to serve the people, right? Now, executive committee is different in the sense that they're there to serve the Republican Party, and absolutely they have a right to safeguard and protect.
Vet our
absolutely.
Candidates, yes.
But when your state party says this guy's good, it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
I told somebody the other day, it doesn't matter if it was an hour. If, for one, they say there were some contest letters sent, but one got there late. If it got there late, that means that it didn't meet our own rules, right? So that should have been the end of the conversation. If the procedure or the protocol was not followed, or they passed it, that's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, when you change the rules because it didn't equal what you like. I said this out loud the other day. I said, that's what the Attorney General in New York did. He changed the rules so that he could make this wrong. And so if you change the rules of, you got to have 4 letters to contest the election. We only got 3, and the other one came in an hour late or a day late. But we'll go ahead and accept it. Well,
no.
That's all I'm saying. If indeed we as a Republican Party feel like we dropped the ball on that, then we need to change the rules. Add 2 days.
What we need to do, we have to define our core values, and again,
run on our core values.
Yeah, and I don't look. I have lots of friends who are Democrats, right?
Sure.
We disagree on so many things.
Absolutely. Right? You ever heard me and Queener on the radio?
Yeah.
Yeah. See.
But at the end of the day, look. We should be losing any friends over it. We should.
Amen.
But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in this. I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you. You need to be a Republican because the Democrats suck because of X, Y, and Z. No, I want to tell you. You need to be a Republican because this is why.
Absolutely.
And look, I've been through a primary and 2 general races as sheriff, and sometimes you got to throw hands, right? And there's a whole argument: does negative politics work? I can tell you this. I think for me, it has served me better by talking about what I can do, what I'm going to do, and more importantly, following through with it. Right?
Absolutely.
Get in there.
Do it.
And if you don't own it, like you said earlier, if you've made a mistake, own it and explain why. Now, look, ain't nobody going to be happy. Ain't nobody going to care, and you're still going to lose people, because I promise you, there were people for me in 18 that were not for me in 22. But there was also people that were for me in 18 that were for me in 22. And you just got to be honest about it and really just do the absolute best you can.
You know, I told Mr. Reagan when he was here, I told John, I have no problem with John. I've known him since he ran the first time. I've had him on the radio dozens of times. I've talked to him, you know, I've been to Nashville, and anybody that listens to me knows the issues I've had, both positive and negative, with John Reagan. But when we were sitting here and we were having a debate about vouchers and about how he went about it, and he said that even if his constituency here felt different, we had hired him to do what he felt was best, and he was going to override the constituency for what he felt. And I said, do you not understand that that gives the impression that you're not even listening to us? Not that you're listening and debating and winning us over to your argument, but you're just saying, I'm going to do what I want, doesn't matter what. I said, do you not at least understand that you're giving that impression? And he said, his exact words were, if people feel like that, if that's what they think and they don't want, then they need to elect somebody else. My phone started blowing up when those words after else and left his lips. I knew at that moment he was not going to, I mean, somebody was going to step up and say, I'll listen. And that's why John didn't win.
Yeah.
Period.
So at the end of the day, I disagree with John on that. Okay.
Well, yeah, that's why I promise that's why he didn't win. I mean, people don't want to hear that.
And
well, that he didn't advertise on WYSH. If he'd advertised, he might have had a little. You know, Rick did. So,
but we've got. Listen, there's some.
Rick supported the local radio station.
There's some things I can't. That what the majority of the people want, I can't do.
Sure.
By law, right?
You mean you can't waive every speeding ticket?
Well, no, I'm talking about, like, I promise you, I think in Anderson County there's a lot. I think the majority would say, I feed inmates for around $1 a meal, right?
Go.
And I guarantee you, I got people that say, why are you spending so much?
Can I have your menu? Because I got 3 boys and 2 stepdaughters.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, are they like, hey, listen, I had a guy ask me, why do you have such a nice riding lawnmower for them to mow the soccer fields and the graveyards and stuff? And give them a non-motor, the old push mowers, right? And look, yeah, I guess I could, but I also like to get them done today. You know, I'd like to get the mowing done so I can get them back in there.
I get it.
And I can get to more. So there's things, but overall, if the people of Anderson County want a professional sheriff's office, and they want one that is, which is I think we want, right? They want someone
efficiency
and more customer service oriented. Okay.
Gotcha.
They don't want deputies giving them an attitude.
Yes.
Right?
Amen.
They want them to be attentive. They want to be efficient. And they're not even saying, no, I need them to kiss my hind end.
Just respectful.
Yes. Be professional.
Yeah. That covers it. Yeah.
If that's what they want, that's what we provide. We strive to provide that, right?
Even with the nice mowers.
Yes.
I get it.
And or if they want, if they said, hey, we want you to run around just beating brakes off everybody.
If that's what they wanted.
I personally couldn't provide that for them, but I would say, yeah. Okay. That's the direction we'll go. You want us to be, but everything's, there's so many moving parts to this too. You know, I mean.
Well, you all everybody elected serves at the will of the people.
Absolutely.
At the will of the people. And again, John's idea might have been better than everybody else's. I don't know. I just know that overwhelmingly there were a number of people that wanted to have a meaningful conversation and wanted to be heard, that basically were told, my mind's made up, this is done. You know, not just one or two, and not just teachers. You know, there was a lot of people that might not even been about vouchers. I mean, there's tons of issues.
Oh, yeah. So I promise, like, when I talk to a lot of citizens every week, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just at Food City.
No, I know.
Or at the get-go. I mean, I have meetings and stuff. And everybody's issue, it's what's important to them. So it needs to be important to me, whether it be speeding, whether it be school safety, whether it be population at the jail, whether it be they're a victim of a crime, right? Yeah. And I don't have the luxury of being frustrated because Ron Meredith calls me 52 times a day
I'm sorry.
to tell me about the speeding on his road because in Ron's world, that's most important. And I can't, like school zone speeding is always an issue every year at the beginning of the year, right? And I politely explain what we're doing, and I try to show them, hey, at the best we've got 8 deputies working on shift. If nobody's off, nobody's gone to military training, and we got 17 schools.
Yeah,
it's tough. I don't like more taxes like the rest of the folks, right?
Sure.
I'm in a really weird thing because I'm funded by taxpayers, and I'm a taxpayer.
Yeah.
So I get those things. But at the end of the day, it's what I signed up to do, right? And,
I agree.
And I can make all the plans in the world, but I may not be the sheriff long enough to see it through because it's up to the people.
I've said before, I believe in the death penalty, but I don't know that I could be the guy to pull the lever. It's easy to sit here and talk about this stuff about Absolutely. You need to do this. John should do this, shouldn't do that. Until you're the person and you're right there in the midst of doing it, it's hard to say, this is what I would have done. You may or may not have done it. But I do know this, without fail, if the people feel you're not listening, or if you are giving the appearance of that, you're staunch, your mind's made up, and you're not. I think John listened. He just didn't agree, but gave the appearance that he didn't even listen. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I heard that over and over and over. Well, I will tell you this. I mean, you heard him on the radio. I mean, him was sat here for 2 hours and banter back and forth. I know he heard what I had to say. I don't think I changed his mind on anything, but I know he listened to me. But very few people, the people that would ask me to ask questions did so because he didn't respond to them. And that's what hurt him. And I told him that's what hurt him. That would hurt you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would hurt me as a businessman. Somebody calls up and they say, Ron, you and Russell talk too long. If I said, shut up, I don't care, they would say, okay, bloop, turn the channel. So you listen and you evaluate it. I would either explain, hey, it was a really important day. We had death penalty. We had this. We're both long-winded. Or I would say, you know what, you're right. I'll shut it down. But do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You have the conversation. And that's what we lack. And people are losing that fact in the fact of whether or not Rick legally was a Republican. That's
not.
I know 2 other people that considered running. Both of them would have beat John Reagan like a drum. That were lifelong Republicans. I don't know that we'd have been having this conversation right now, but it didn't matter. It's simply because people want to be listened to, or they want to be explained to. You don't want to be told and forced. You want to be, educated, or you want to be listened to, or both, for that matter.
Yeah, it's the truth. I mean,
so our party's lost that, I think.
Absolutely.
Locally.
So I had a guy they talked to me prior to the 22 election, and he was concerned about some expenditures and some money that we had to get an increase in our jail budget.
Yeah,
right? And he was worried about that. And so he told me, hey, I don't understand this. I don't like this. Why are we spending more money down there at the jail?
Yeah.
So what I found out and learned from this guy, and he was not happy.
Okay.
when he come to me, right?
He was mad.
Yeah, and so I explained to him, this population of inmates have no rules that they follow in society, and addiction drives majority of our crime, right? So they're not getting preventative health care. They're not getting checkups. So when they come to our jail and get some sobriety under their belt, particularly if they're staying along with us, everything starts hurting. They need teeth pulled. They need medical treatment. We're required by law to provide this. And it's just the right thing to do.
Sure.
I mean, regardless of what they've done, there's some basic health care we should be providing for them, or we're going to end up lawsuits.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, and it's just the humane thing to do.
And so I explained to him, and he's just hardcore because he'd never been in trouble, and he always, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the arguments, he understood them, but it just wasn't really getting nowhere. So then I just finally said, let me ask you something. Does it cost you more today to run your farm than it did last year? He goes, well, yeah. I go, why would we be any different? I don't.
Did that resonate?
Yeah, it did. And he's like, oh, okay. So in the case of what we're talking about, how John, if you don't, and it's okay to walk away disagreeing, right?
Absolutely.
But if you don't take the time to explain it and give them insight, because lots of times it'd be like me, Ron, coming to you and giving you all these great ideas about radio.
Sure.
That I think you should be doing differently.
Sure.
But I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. And if you don't say, yeah, it seems like that would work, but here's why it doesn't.
Yeah, here's the other
side.
I
go, piss on it. You should be doing.
I'm not gonna listen to you no more.
You should do
take my toys and going home. Yeah.
You should do it anyway.
Yeah.
If I can't comprehend or understand it, then that's on me.
I get it.
But I find that most things can be worked out through conversation. You're not going to make them 100% happy, and that's another thing that's just missed in politics anyway. Diplomacy and statesmanship.
Yes.
It's a lost art.
Boy, it is. And we've got to where we carry our gloves with us everywhere we go, because you don't know when you're going to be punching and fighting, and then it just, I understand it. I really do feel like that our country is right on a precipice of I think, detrimental change.
Yes, I agree.
I don't want to see us turn into some of these European or third world, and I don't, I know a rising tide raises all boats. We keep adding boats and boats and boats, and we got a lot of new boats coming in, a lot of new people, and it's hard to rise. It's hard to continue to raise the tide. The more people that are here that we need to take care of. I understand people come in our country. I want everybody that wants to come, but to come legally. I've seen, I know 2 people that came here legally. Took 13 years for one of them, and they're Mexican, and they are not happy at all about this. So I think the Republican, if the Republican Party don't win and we don't exercise some of our core values, we're going to have a fundamental change in our country that I'm not looking forward to, and probably lead to a lot more of those arguments and people not listening to each other. But
100%.
Hopefully we'll start listening.
So, and this really has nothing to do with it, but I just got to say this because you will appreciate this. I have the same concern for the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
And Anderson County.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the way the country goes, it'll eventually get here. We're generally, everything kind of seems to move from the West Coast to the East for the most part. But so I have just recently noticed in the last 12 months how much traffic is on the Clinch River. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea there was that, because I can remember as a young man, particularly as a kid, you go forever and not see a boat.
Oh, yeah.
You could go 10 times a year, get on that river, and you'd never see another boat. I see jet skis now.
Certainly not a recreational boat. You might see fishing boats and john boats, but the recreational boats.
I see jet skis now.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was talking to somebody, and I said, why in the world are you jet skiing on the Clinch? It's cold, and, and he said, because you can't throw a rock 6 feet on Norris. I know you know.
I know. You're absolutely right.
And they said, because if they've not relocated here from somewhere else, they're coming from out of state to our lake.
Absolutely.
And they're weekend Anderson Countyans.
Yeah.
Or Campbell Countyans, whichever part of the lake. And
so some of our hometown folks have migrated to the river.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, so that's politically what we're looking at too, and as a country and as a state, and I just and I'm all about safeguarding that, and I'm for change, but not for the sake of change. It has to make sense.
I agree.
And
I don't like change. I'll just tell you, I'm hard for change in my personal life. You know what I mean? It's just it's hard to make changes.
Well, I'm one of these guys that when we look at it, I drive my command staff crazy, because I'm like, well, like I hate, why are we doing it like this? Because it's how we always done it.
Oh.
Right? I hate that. And I'm like, well, what we're doing is clearly not working.
So let's figure something out.
Yeah, let's try something else. And like, I can promise you, as we were working through staffing at the jail, I drove everybody nuts. A guy that never served a day in corrections, right?
Yeah.
We went from 12s to 10s to 8s, back to 10s, back to 12s.
Trying to get it worked out.
Because I thought, well, maybe it's a scheduling thing. So maybe if we change our hours we work, because we could work with less people, less corrections officers. So this deficiency in staff can be overcome through scheduling. Man, I was driving people crazy.
Did it work?
No.
Okay. There you go.
What it boiled down to was pay and culture. And
you can fix the pay, but not the culture.
Maybe. I still hang on to that. We can.
Inside, I'm not talking about the culture of the officers. I'm talking about the culture of the inmates.
Oh, yeah. That can't be. That can't be done. The only thing you can do there is make sure that the same accountability you would give on the streets, you give in there. Listen, we had a guy assault one of our officers pretty badly a couple years back. And so I got down there, and they went and showed him to me. He was in lockdown over it, right? And the guy was very apologetic and all this, of course. And he just said, hey, I got anger management, temper issues. And I said, so how long are you here for outside of this new charge? And he said, well, I got flat 4 years. I said, okay, I got news for you. Today I have 149 state inmates. If the state told me to bring them 148, guess who don't get to go? And he looked at me. I said, I'm going to make sure that you do as much time as I can legally make it here, because I'm going to charge you with this new one, and you're not going to stop my staff. I get it. You got anger issues. You better be working on it.
You better take them out on the wall, not on the staff.
Because I'm not sending you to the pen where you get more freedoms. Just not. And so that is the only way you can impact that. And like I've done some things too, and I trust me, I got all kinds of complaints about them. So the TVs in booking and the TVs in the pods, right? I'm famous for personally going and taking them down when the pods act up. And booking TVs, true story. When we had one break, I wasn't buying another one. I just sold my camper, and I had a 19-inch that I had no use for. I donated it to the jail. So I had maintenance hang a 19-inch up. Everybody's squinting trying to see it, right? And when these TVs go out, I replace them with just little TVs.
Whatever you got.
Yeah, I mean, we're not. And so that's how I think. I mean, trust me, man, they were so upset about the TVs going down. Like, that's a real control technique we have, particularly around football season in the mail pods.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That would work.
Yeah. And so that's how you manage that, in my opinion. But it's tough. But I don't even know how we got this. But bottom line is, you're right. We better wake up.
We just need to get our house in order, and whatever we decide, we'll live with. But you don't get to change it midstream.
And at the end of the day, look. If you disagree on something, it doesn't make you instant enemies.
Exactly.
It just doesn't.
Well, if you do that, it's not going to carry you too far in this country, because we built this country on disagreeing on a lot of stuff, but agreeing on core things to build something special. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The people that came together and built this country didn't all come from the exact same background, and they had differing opinions. That's why they negotiated what is the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution for years. I mean, it was a long time coming. It wasn't something they sit down and wrote.
The weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's part of our country. Part of our country is disagreeing. If you want to be, especially in business or any kind of success in this country, you have to be able to listen to people that disagree with you. You don't necessarily have to do it, but you need to be able to have the conversation without wanting to fight with them.
Yeah, and I tell you one last thing, then I really got to shut up because I'm gonna get myself in trouble. I don't know where we've become so soft in the sense of your feelings get hurt so easily. Yeah. That is just so foreign to me, because I know because people have said horrible things about you.
Oh yeah,
true or not?
Yeah, terrible, horrible.
and I know what they said about me, and I have to regulate myself and
yes.
and be the bigger man, and I'm
not always the bigger man, Russell. Yeah, sometimes I get mad.
It comes with the territory, but I don't know. It's just people can't. I promise you, and there's gonna be a problem with this. What I'm about to say for some people, if you're looking for an Indian behind every tree, you're gonna see one.
You're gonna find one. Well, here's the bottom line: is our party needs to come together. We don't need to be in-house fighting.
No.
This is the wrong time in the world for our party to fracture at any level, any local, state, or national. This is the time when every single vote, every single person is going to matter. I don't care, people say, I don't vote in the presidential, it don't matter. It may not matter in so much as the president's not going to, come down here and rule the speed limit for Clinton, but it's going to trickle down, and people are going to follow the lead of the leader of our country. It does matter. And all right, if our Republican, if they have an issue, in the House issues, these are things you talk about in your meetings. These are things you talk about. If indeed every single thing that the Republican Party said is accurate, it's their own fault, our own fault. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So instead of screaming at the top of your lungs, look how we messed this up, let's come together. If indeed they believe that. I don't think they did, but if they did, you come together and you fix that. And then you go out and you work, you work your plan. You don't get out and tell the whole world, look how much we're messing up.
Yeah.
Vote for us.
So look, I'm going to tell you this too. I'm tired of people, the segment of our fellow citizens that think being pro-America is a bad
wrong
thing. And maybe I'm really ignorant on this, but why is the term nationalist or nationalism, why is that a bad thing?
I don't know. I don't think it is.
I don't either. And so the definition says to the exclusion of others. Well, look, here's what I'm saying. I think our neighbors and our allies, I'm all about helping. I really am. But man, you take care of your own first. And I mean everyone, right? And here's what I'm telling you. On an airplane, it's so simple. What do they tell you when they go over the safety briefing? In the event,
put it on your kid first.
Yeah, you take care of you before you help your neighbor.
Yeah, put it on you, then you put it on whoever you got to help. Yeah.
When a lifeguard swims out to help somebody drown, and they go out feet first because they don't have to drown with them.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
And so it should translate over into our country as well. Like, and look, I welcome anybody to this country legally.
Absolutely.
Particularly if you're going to participate.
Well, I said, hey, if you guys want to change the laws, change the laws. They're talking about, we didn't pass this because Republicans blocked it. Why pass new laws when you're not enforcing the ones that you have? They say on day one, we're going to change this. You're on day 2000 or whatever day they're in right now. Go change it today. If she wants to change it today. Don't change it on day one.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going to get a day one, but she could change it today. We might make it. But bottom line, we've just got to quit eating ourselves as Republicans. We have tremendous policies, and these little things like this, they're going to happen. It's going to happen. It's normal when you've got a bunch of people working together, but we need to fix it in the House, bottom line. And this country needs the guidance. People are going to get mad at me. I'm going to say of the Republican Party, but I'm going to say of the more conservative. I'm really, really tired of boys going into girls' bathrooms.
Yeah.
I am tired of our losing Olympic medals to men that are in women's, I don't care how you were raised. I don't care that you were raised from a baby as a girl if you're a boy. You still have the chromosomes that make you stronger than what the Lord made females.
Fact.
So it doesn't matter how you were raised or what your feelings are or anything else. You're a boy. You don't get to play in the Olympics with the girls. In my opinion, I don't understand how anybody thinks that's fair at all.
No, I agree.
Because you know what? That little boy that thinks he's a girl, all right, okay. still has the genetic strength, still has, testosterone, still has all the things that make us males stronger than females. So, okay, we can have sympathy, empathy, whatever you want to have for them, but it doesn't change the truth of their muscular structure, their bone structure, the things that God made. You and me, we jump up from behind a rock, kill something, and that's what we do, and eat it. Women don't do that, We're different. And I just don't understand how why I'm a bigot or why I'm wrong or why I'm something for saying that. They tell me I'm wrong because, no, he's not a man. No, he's a man. He's chemically, biologically a man. There's nothing else can be done about it. I'm tired of that stuff. I'm tired of it.
I am too.
And I don't know how this country has got to a point. Somebody said maybe they need to have their own sports stuff where trans people battle trans people. I'm okay with that. Really. I mean, I don't necessarily like it, but if somebody, if that's what they're going to do, go do it. But I'll tell you, you would feel the same way if your daughter had to go up and compete with or bunk with or take a locker room with. No. It becomes personal and aggravating at that point. So
imagine, and I don't know what it's going to take for somebody to wake up and go, oh my gosh, yeah. But imagine